So good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. It is advisable if you can set your Zoom settings to a parallel view of speaker and presentation. The presentation will be with us most of the afternoon. My name is Dan Rabinowitz, and I'm a professor at Tel Aviv University Social and Anthropology, Sociology and Anthropology Department. I'm also the head of the MA in Social and Policy Aspects of Climate Change, which, as you all know, is a fairly new MA program, part of Tel Aviv University's Faculty of Social Sciences and also part of Tel Aviv University International School, which runs more than 20 international programs in English. So welcome to this open day in which we want to tell you a little bit about the program. It comes in three main sections. Each of them will be followed by Q&A. So I encourage you to accumulate some questions and ask me when I move from one part to the other. I will say that I'm joined here by Yochi Binky, whom you can see as Yochi Climate MA TAU here. She is the program administrator. We also have online with us Ayelet Fishman, who is head of the international programs at the social science faculty. The first part, as you can see, is what is special about the program, why now, what can I get from it? It will be followed by another section that looks more specifically at the program itself, how it's built, who are the instructors, what might be the work plan, some extras that we offer. And towards the end of this session, we will offer you some practical information on the process of applying, which is already underway, which is already happening. I want to already focus your attention on a follow-on meeting that we have immediately after that. You are invited to a Q&A session with Maya Levy, Diyar Daoud, and Gidi Katz, who are all members of the first cohort of the program that started last year. They will host a separate students-only meeting, a Zoom meeting. Faculty and staff will not attend, so I will not be there, Yochi or others. It will only be them. And a link to that second session will be sent here in the chat shortly. So I invite you to use this opportunity, and after you hear what we have to say and ask some questions about the program, so in about 40 minutes, you will be able to join Maya, Diyar, and Gidi and hear some firsthand impressions that they have of the program from last year. So I begin with what is so special about this program and why it might be good for people to join. So the first point that I want to make is that we're very happy to be pioneers. This MA program in social and policy aspects of climate change, I will say the Hebrew name of it, it's היבטי חברה ומדיניות של שינוי אקלים, is the first and so far the only master's program offered in any university in Israel, which is wholly dedicated to climate change. We are also very happy to be early adopters on a global scale. That means that there are only very few master's programs globally that focus on the social and policy aspects of climate change. We know of around 10 of those. In the UK, a few in the United States, one or two in Australia. So we are in very good company in that respect. There are more MA master's programs that deal with the physical aspects of climate change, engineering, and of course geophysics and what's happening in the atmosphere. So all of this is happening under various MSc programs, but an MA program in the social and policy aspects of climate change are very few, and we are one of them. And another reason for us to be proud is that this is a very truly interdisciplinary program. We have excellent professors and researchers that look at climate change from a variety of perspectives. I'm an anthropologist, for example, part of the anthropology and sociology department, but we have amongst our instructors, and you'll see some of their names, people who are in geophysics, and people who are in policy studies, lawyers, political ecology experts, business administration, and more. So it's both very varied, but also very interdisciplinary, and all focused on the social aspects of climate change. And I'm also happy to say that the focus that we have on the social and economic and political aspects of climate change is something that is in high demand in academia today. People in many aspects of academia and many disciplines are looking for young researchers that are well-versed and are well-trained in new research tools of the social sciences, and can help with designing and executing research that would look more closely into the human aspects of the climate crisis. So this is in growing demand. At the same time, we are also in this program have a very clear mind about climate professionals. People in many parts of the economy are looking for employees, for a young, a new cohort of employees that can really turn knowledge of the various aspects of climate change, including the social and economic and political, into policy tools. And here we're talking about government organizations, but also civil society, and not least industrial and financial institutions, which are actively seeking such professionals. So if you are wondering about industrial and financial institutions, since so much regulation is now happening all over the world regarding climate, many industry groups, factories, and big plants need to comply with various climate demands and greenhouse gas emission limitations. For that, they need professionals in-house to show them how to do that. And it's true about the financial world as well, where investment are always tied up to assessments of the extent to which various organizations, industrial organizations, and others that are seeking funding are complying with climate policy. So this is opening very wide opportunities for people in the job market. I want to move on to the program itself, how it is structured, and the courses that we offer. But in the interest of keeping you from falling asleep and being too monotonous and speaking too much myself, let me pause here and see if anybody wants to ask any questions about the general concept of the program, why and how we conceived it, before I actually go down into the details. So take a moment to reflect on this, and if anybody wants to raise a question. I have muted everybody when we started, but I think that you should be able to unmute yourselves. Am I right here, Yochi? People?
כן.
Okay, good.
לי יש שאלה, בבקשה, אם אפשר, אם זה בסדר בעברית.
Yes, who is speaking? Just give us your name.
סתיו.
Stav, okay.
ראיתי
I will translate your question
I
in
can speak in English if no problem.
I think it's easier.
I saw there are many advertising for many kinds of plans in Bar-Ilan University, Haifa University. So what is the difference between the programs? if you know to...
I'm not sure which programs you refer to. What I know is that the main difference is that we are 100% focused on climate. So you will see it in all of our courses. They are specifically focused on climate, whether it is a philosophy course about environmentalism generally, or it's a policy course. You will see that our only focus is climate. I would, without again referring to specific programs, maybe you can write to us later and tell us if you want us to analyze particular differences with particular programs. But I think that in general, compared to other programs in other Israeli universities and also abroad, the main distinguishing factor is that we are 100% climate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Stav. Anyone else?
Yes.
Please.
I'm Ehud.
Yes, I'm Ehud.
Would this be a good mid-career change program if I wanted to switch fields?
Excellent questions. The answer in a nutshell is yes. And we actually were pleasantly surprised in the first cohort, with the first cohort of students, to see that a good number of our students are people in their 30s and even early 40s who are looking for a conversion route into climate. I would suggest you stay for the second session with our students at 4:45 and raise it with them. I think that at least one of them would be able to give you his own version of it and his own story of it, and it's very telling. But yes, this is certainly something that we had in mind when we conceived the program, that people are now looking to the climate field, sometimes with a view of changing their own direction or diversifying from whatever they're doing into the climate world. And we also saw it amongst our students. So yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the question. Let me move on to look at some of the details of the program itself and what we actually offer. This is, excuse me. So the program comes in two tracks, שני מסלולים. One is the studies track, and one is the research track, מסלול מחקרי ומסלול עיוני. You can see that they differ in the number of credit hours that they require. The studies track does not involve writing a thesis or doing original research. The research track, of course, is based on the student writing research and doing original research, and therefore the load of credit hours is slightly lower. The studies track can be completed in 3 semesters. So the first semester begins in November. The third semester is the summer semester. So it is perfectly possible to complete the 36 credit hours within 12 months. Of course, the research track requires more time, because research needs time, and therefore we're looking at 4 to 6 semesters or 2 years. And of course, the research track is important for those who are thinking about further research and becoming a PhD students and maybe going for an academic career. But others we find are also interested in the research track. It should be noted, and I want to point out, that the initial admission, when someone is admitted to the course, they are admitted to the studies track. And it's only at the end of the first semester that students can, if they want to, apply to be admitted into the research track. And then acceptance is by merit, in other words, according to the student's achievement in the first semester. So first semester, everybody is together. They're all in the studies track, and some move to the research track in the first cohort that we had. we had about a third, a little bit more than a third, maybe 40% of the students that chose a research track. Of course, that means that the student has to be quite clear and focused about the kind of research they do, and they also have to start working quite early on pairing up with a university professor who can be their advisor or supervisor. So this is something that needs work and needs some thought. Here are our instructors, and all of them, we are very happy to say, have a rich research or activism or both track record, and are all very experienced teachers. You can see the names here. Some of them are quite well known, like former member of Knesset Dov Chenin, who heads our practicum internship seminar, and Alon Tal, who is a leading environmental scientist and also a former member of Knesset, who teaches climate policy with us. We have Professor Colin Price, who formerly was the head of the Porter School of Environmental Studies at Tel Aviv University, a geophysicist and an atmospheric science expert. Dr. Miri Lavi-Ne'aman looks into the anthropology and philosophy and the intellectual aspects of climate change, and she's leading one of our seminars. We have Dr. Ami Kaplan, who in fact this year is on sabbatical, who studies and researches climate change and capitalism. Professor David Levy from University of Massachusetts in Boston is a regular visitor with us, and he teaches climate and business. Noga Keidal is a new recruit with us, teaches research methods. I teach a general basic, the core course on climate change and social science, and also a course on climate change and the Middle East. So these are a selection of the main courses that we offer as part of the program itself. As I said, some of our teachers have not only a unique record of research, but also some experience, a very valuable experience in climate policy and activism. Some of them are in Israel's parliament. Some have experience in national government agencies. Dov Chenin now heads the president of Israel's climate forum, the Israel Climate Forum, which has fingers in many pies in the climate universe of Israel. We have people who have experience in local government, in local and international civil society organizations, in the business community, and more. As I said about Dov Chenin, he was for 8 years in the Knesset before he became the chair of Israel's Climate Forum, and it has many achievements to his name regarding the environment and climate legislation. Same can be said about Professor Alon Tal. He's a trained lawyer, but has a sort of long series of establishments and founding of very influential and important organizations in Israel, including Adam Teva V'Din and the Arava Institute for Environmental Studies. I myself who served as chairman of Greenpeace Mediterranean and also chairman of Life and Environment, Chaim U'Sviva. And as I said, I was also head of the Porter School of Environmental Studies at Tel Aviv University. So was Professor Colin Price, who now heads Tel Aviv University's Climate Center. So not only researchers and teachers, but also people who are steeped in climate activism and environmental activism for many decades. Let me say a few words about the schedule that might be awaiting those who are admitted. So Tel Aviv University works with 3 semesters. In fact, they should be called trimesters because we have 3 of them, fall, spring, and summer. The dates are a little bit late this year because last year has been disrupted by the war and the schedule changes. Normally, we do not start as early as November, sometimes in mid-October. But these are the fall, spring, and summer trimesters. And that's when we, in our program, will be active. And our main teaching days are two. One is Monday, which is a full day, starting early in the morning and going all the way to the afternoon. And the second day in which we focus is Thursday, but the schedule on Thursday is a little bit lighter. The reason is that we have one or two courses that are online that do not require people to actually come to the classroom. And we sort of stack them on Thursday with a view in mind that our students will not necessarily have to come to campus every Thursday. Some Thursdays they will need to come, but schedules can be arranged that maybe only for a few hours on Thursday, and not as heavy as our Monday schedule. Let's look at the courses and work plans. So like other programs, we have mandatory courses, which everybody has to take. That's why it says 4 out of 4. We offer 4. Everybody needs to take all of them. I will show you a little bit their names in a moment. We have 3 courses that are electives that the program suggests or offers, and our students must take 2 of them. That's why it says 2 out of 3. We also have 3 seminars that we offer. And again, our students must take at least 2 of them. And then people can take elective courses external to our program. They can be any number from 2 to 6, depending on if you are in the studies course, studies track, or in the research track, and the number of credits that you would actually require. This is a scheme of the actual names of the courses according to these 4 sections that I just mentioned. The mandatory courses are at the top there. Then you have the elective courses offered by the program, the seminars, and elective courses outside of the program. We provide you with a list that we recognize, and you have quite a lot of freedom in selecting, and depending on your study track or research track, you can see these 2 headlines on the right. This is what determines the number of courses that you will take in the various sections. I'll leave this on for a moment. You can look at it, maybe take a picture of it if you like, and also ask me questions about it. It's a good opportunity. Again, I don't want to go on too monotonously on my own. So if anybody wants to ask anything about this list, you are welcome. You can see at the bottom that, again, the total credits required for the study track is 36. In the research track is 29, plus, of course, the credits that people get for writing their thesis. And then the number in brackets next to the main number in the second and third rows has to do with the fact that some people can take only, for example, in the elective offered by the program, if you take 2, you get 6, but you're allowed to take all 3 and get 9. And the same goes for the seminars. You can see that we marked only 4 in the seminars, one of the 2 that you see there, because the practicum at the top, third from the top, is also counted as a seminar. So since everybody does the practicum, the students only have to select 1 more of our 2 seminars. So unless someone wants to jump in with a question here, I see quite a few questions coming up in the chat. The super technical question about exact hours on Mondays and on Thursdays. On Mondays, beginning at 8 and going until about 6 o'clock in the evening, doesn't mean that everybody takes all of the all courses sort of one after the other, but the main mandatory courses are there. On Thursday, I couldn't really tell because, as I say, it's a mixture of online courses. So it's looser on Thursday, but and some Thursdays will not require people to be on campus at all. But this is a more individual question, so I'm unable to answer it in a general.
Danny, I think it's safe to say that in the first semester, the first course of the day, which is 8:30 to 10 of calling price, is on Zoom. Is non-Zoom. Is basically you get some videos and you need to watch it. And once in, let's say, 3 weeks, there is a meeting, right?
With Professor Price itself, yes.
Yeah.
But there are training sessions with his assistant that would happen every week. And some of them would be on campus, some of them would be on Zoom.
Exactly. And on the practical meeting, so the first 5 to 6 weeks of the semester will be dedicated for meeting in class. And after that, you will go out and start your practicum. So it won't be all of the semester 8 to 12.
Yes.
So Thursday is a bit more flexible. Monday, you're going to start at 8 or 12, depending if you're going to decide to take the seminar. If not, you're going to have to take the seminar in the second semester. So there is some flexibility of building your schedule. When you do it, if you need to consult, I put my number here and you can call me and consult. There is, Danny, a few questions maybe you can answer. One of the questions is what the relation to Porter School. Maybe it's good to explain what's the different, or not what the relation, what's the different.
Okay, so the relations with the Porter School are very good. And I myself was head of the Porter School before, and one of our main teachers, Colin Price, was my successor there. I think that first of all, they are now part of the hard sciences, part of exact sciences. So that if somebody is interested in social aspects of environmentalism and climate change, this is our forte. Whereas on their part, it's more the scientific side, atmospheric science, and so on. And the other difference is that their MA in environmentalism generally, of course, touches here and there on climate change, but is much broader and looks at a bigger spectrum of environmental issues. As I say, we decided that we want to drill down only on climate, and that sort of makes quite a significant difference in our emphasis and in the mix of courses that we're offering. This next slide that I moved to, again, you don't have to go to look into all of the details, but this is a suggested work plan by semester. And the main thing that you should take out from it is the fact that if somebody is in the study track and looks at 36 credit points that they have to fulfill, they can still quite comfortably do it in 3 semesters. So semester 1 at the top of the screen has a total of 15 credit points, most of them mandatory classes that we offer and everybody has to take. And that's also why the study track and the research track are actually the same. Some people we know this year, the first year that we ran the program, took these 15 credits plus 3 more credits on another elective course somewhere else in the university. So they completed the first semester with 18 credits. The second semester is more or less the same volume. Again, a mixture of mandatory and elective courses that can bring people quite easily to 13 and sometimes even more. And that leaves the summer semester, which is quite short, it's only 7 weeks, with a relatively small number of courses that would need you to get to 36. Again, this is if somebody is on the study track. If somebody is on the research track, it's even easier, of course, but then there is another year awaiting for doing the research. But you can see that the way we offered the courses is geared to people being able to fulfill the obligations of even the study track in 3 semesters. In fact, I think 1 or 2 or 3 of our students in the first year completed most of their work in 2 semesters and didn't even need to take additional courses in the summer. Not all of them, but there were some people who were sort of determined to do it quickly and to do it very efficiently, crammed in more work in the first and second semester and didn't even have to use the summer semester. We're offering some extras. What do we mean by extras? First of all, our practicum is an internship, התמחות, in various organizations in Israel, and some of them are actually also abroad. This is a list of some of the organizations that our students, under the guidance of Dr. Dov Chenin, interned with and spent some time. You need to spend about 6 or 8 hours a week in one of these organizations. Doesn't necessarily have to be physical presence in the organization. Some of the work, quite a lot of it, is actually done online or at home with tasks that the organization gives you. These are all organizations that have something in their usual work that is climate related. So we, in cooperation with the organizations, of course, we arrange for these internship. Students come and do some work for the organization in their climate inclined areas, and eventually also write a report about the organization that can be sometimes of help to the organization itself, and obviously a measure for us to evaluate the kind of work of the intern in that organization. This, again, I suggest that those of you who are interested will stay for the second session and talk to Gidi, to Maya, and to Diyar about their experience in the practicum. So this is one thing that we sort of look at as an extra. You get 4 credits for it because it also counts as a seminar, but in many ways it is something that is extracurricular. It goes beyond the limits of the university, and it's very helpful if you are trying to understand how various organizations, both in government and in civil society and in business, how they deal with some of the climate challenges that they're facing. So this is the practicum. And another thing that we do is that alongside the formal academic program, which is courses for academic credit, we also want our student to go through some workshops and get some diplomas, which we don't charge for. We do it in conjunction with organizations outside of the university that specialize in things, for example, like ESG, which is Environment, Society, and Governance. It's a measure, for those who don't know what ESG is a measure to analyze organizations and institutions according to certain indicators and analysis to see to what extent they stand up to various standards that have to do with environmental standards, social standards, and governance standards. So this is something that is it's an industry in a way, and we have organized last year and will do next year also a workshop for our students, those who want to, 1.5 day workshop that would give them the credentials and the diploma that they have, that they can do an ESG evaluation. And the same goes for carbon accounting, another thing that is now required by many organizations under regulation from climate that need to be able to attest to their carbon accounting. I'm moving now quite quickly to some practical information on how to get your application process going if you're interested. I want to be in time for you to be able to join our students who are in a separate Zoom room, as we said. One thing we would tell you is to start early. We already have quite a few people enrolled. We don't have unlimited places. So if you're thinking about it, do something about it now, because our places are limited. The admission criteria is a BA degree from an institution that is recognized by Israel's Council for Higher Education. So it could be either here or abroad. The average should be 80 out of 100, 75 if the applicant has a degree in the life sciences or exact sciences or engineering or medicine. We are asking for 2 recommendation letters, preferably from people who know you in your academic capacity. If you've been to university a long time ago and it's been a while since you've been in touch with your professors, it could also be people who know you from work. We ask you to write a 2-page statement of intent on why you're interested in climate generally, in our program in particular. There are some exceptions. We can accept people who are recent graduates on condition if some of their coursework in the last year of their undergraduate studies have not yet been completed and graded. So one semester we give grace for them to complete and get grades for whatever they were doing before. The language requirements for Israelis or people who studied in undergraduate degrees from Israeli university, there's no special requirement. There's no proficiency test in English. And also the same, of course, for candidates who come from universities abroad where the language of instruction is English. If it is a university abroad where the language of instruction is not English, then TOEFL or the Cambridge BAT or C1 advanced proficiency are required. How to begin the process? There is a separate landing page for international students and for Israeli students. So whichever category you belong to, make sure that you go to the right one. I think Yochi will be able to post these links again in the chat in a few minutes. But anyway, they are very easily accessible. These links, you only have to do Tel Aviv University International, and you get to the first one, and you go to Merkaz Rishum or Tel Aviv University Admissions for the second one. So this is one thing that you want to remember. One thing we want to keep your mind at rest is that you're asked to register in the beginning, but it doesn't really mean that you're registering to the program or committing yourself anything. It is really just to enter your contact details so we can come back to you and continue the process. So the registration at the very early stage of the process is not really their registration and acceptance. It's only sort of putting your foot in the door and making sure that we come back to you and continue. Make sure you have at hand an updated CV, current identity card and passport, and a photo that you will need later for your student ID card. If you need any more details and advice from us, even if it's during the registration process, so both Yochi and I are accessible on email. If you want to, you can take a picture of this screen and or find us online. We are available in this time of year, for long hours every day. So do not hesitate to contact us if you have any questions. Here are some other links. There is a program page on the Faculty of Social Science website, and there is another page for the program on the Tel Aviv University International website. They are not identical. You're going to get to see more information about us there. This is, yes.
Sorry, I'm just saying I just put a Word file with all the useful link that we just spoke about, and you can find everything in the chat as well.
Thank you, Yochi. I know that the other session with our students, where we will not be present, is already open. And I really encourage you to go to talk to them. They are great guys, Gidi, Maya, and Diar. They are waiting for you. I am still here for a few more minutes, as is Yochi, if you want to linger here and ask us more questions. Otherwise, thank you very much for your time, and we hope to see some of you soon.
Hi, can I ask a question, please?
Please do.
So how much is the content focused on Middle East climate policy, and how much it's more global and also addresses what's happening around the world?
So the Middle East comes up in a number of varieties, most explicitly in my own seminar, which is in the second semester, and which is based on my book with Stanford University Press from 2020, which is dedicated to climate change in the Middle East. It's called The Power of Deserts. So there you have a whole semester and a 4-credit seminar that only looks at the Middle East and includes a number of tasks, a number of analysis that students do of various countries in the Middle East, according to their climate policy, climate vulnerability, and so on. The Middle East also comes up in the general course on the social sciences and climate, but not as a major focus. And the third place where it comes up is in Miri Lavie-Ne'eman's sort of more philosophical course on, she calls it changing the intellectual climate. But since she herself, her work is with Bedouins in the Negev and in other parts of the Middle East, so she uses a lot of case material from the Middle East. And another course which touches on it, certainly it was the case last year, is Alon Tal's climate policy course, which starts very intensely in the beginning of the year, because one of the first things that the students do is that they become involved in the preparations for the next COP. The COP is always in late November or mid-December. So Alon works closely with the Israeli delegation and has students preparing position papers and doing some analysis for the Israeli delegation before it goes and during the COP. And of course, since last year's COP was in the Middle East, we had quite a lot of sort of input there. I think that's more or less. It's not dedicated to the Middle East, but we certainly are in the Middle East and we think about it a lot about it, so it's there.
But there is also courses and focus on what's happening in other parts of the world. Like
yes. I think that the business course with David Levy, and again Miri Lavie-Ne'eman's course, and the climate policy, the other parts of the climate policy course with Elontal are so looking at legislation elsewhere and doing analysis. And of course, my course on social science and climate change uses case materials from many countries around the world.
Hi, may I ask a question?
Yes, please.
My name is Shira. I wanted to know what type of roles are potentially open to graduates of this program?
So, as you probably know, many government, non-government, and industry and financial institutions are now doing work that has to do with climate. And the regulative work, I mentioned it a little bit before, the regulation that is now imposed on both government organizations, whether it's local government or national ministries, but also on industry and finance, means that in many of them, they are now looking for what I would generally call a local in-house climate officer. Somebody who would be able to advise and analyze how the company's policy has to change because of the need to adhere to climate regulations. Financial institutions do it a lot because they have to assess other organizations that they want to invest in, and they need some expertise at home. And it goes the same for local and national governments. Most countries in the world now have a national climate policy program, and that requires a lot of professional work. I'm happy to go on answering questions, but Yochi, maybe you can indicate to Gidi and Maya and Diar that we are held up a little bit because people have more questions. So,
yes, so I'll go into the Zoom.
Yes. Okay,
so I'm going to ask them to wait a little bit over there.
Yes, thank you. And I want to remind those who are with us here that you have this opportunity to go to the second Zoom meeting with our students without us, and that the chat already includes the link there. So we're happy for you to sort of switch and go to the other. Is it Sari or Sherry? I see that you are muted. I hope I answered Sally or Sherry's question. Anyone else? Okay, so thank you everybody for attending. I do hope that you still have time to go for a quick meeting with our students. They're not going to give you long lectures. It's really a Q&A session with them because we're sure that you want to ask their own impressions. I hope you join them, and thank you everybody wherever you are, if it's morning or afternoon or evening. Have a good day, and we hope to see you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
שאלת אותי לגבי אם זה המשך של הזום הנוכחי או כניסה חדשה, זה כניסה חדשה.
דני,
כן.
רק מעדכנת שהייתי שם עכשיו, ואני מציעה שמי שרוצה שיעבור לזום שם, כי הם ב5:15 מסיימים, ויש שם הרבה מידע מאוד מאוד חשוב.
אז
מצוין.
רק תשלחו בבקשה שוב את
הנה, אני
פשוט
אשלח.
יש יותר מדי...
אני אשלח שוב, רק
כן.
דקה, בסדר?
דוד, אתה שאלת אותנו אם זה המשך של הזום הזה או התחלה של זום אחר, אז התחלה של זום אחר, ויוכי עכשיו מעלה את זה שוב בצ'אט, את הלינק, אתה לוחץ עליו ואז אתה נכנס
אוקיי, תודה.
לפגישה השנייה. הם מוגבלים שם בזמן בגלל
הם גם מוגבלים בזמן
המגבלה של
וגם,
הזום?
כן, וגם גידי אמר שהוא צריך לסיים, אז
אוקיי, בסדר.
כן,
אבל אז יש עוד איזה 20 דקות.
לא, יש להם עוד 20 דקות, אבל נראה
זה צריך
שיש שם
להספיק.
ונראה שיש שם שאלות מאוד חשובות, אז כדאי באמת,
יופי.
זאת אומרת,
מצוין.
הסטודנטים, אז
כן, יופי.
בסדר, מי שפה מוזמן לפנות אליי, השארתי את כל הפרטים, אליי, לפרופסור רבינוביץ', אנחנו זמינים לגמרי. זהו, מקווים
טוב.
שנראה אתכם.
תודה, אנחנו נסיים עכשיו את הפגישה הזאת, ואתם כאמור, אלא אם כן אתם אומרים לי שאתם צריכים עוד רגע כדי להעתיק את הלינק לפגישה השנייה, אבל אם לא, אז אנחנו נסיים כאן ונגיד לכולם תודה רבה, תודה גם לך יוכי,
תודה.
וערב טוב.
ערב טוב.
להתראות.
להתראות, ביי ביי.